This is episode 556 of the Eventing Radio Show, brought to you by Eventing Riders Association of North America. This week we have Jackie Green, Andrea Baxter, and Kate Loki. This is Max Corcoran, and from where am I? I'm in Hamilton. It's really warm, pretty sticky Hamilton, Georgia.
And this is Joe from hot, sticky, sunny Ocala, Florida. And you're listening to the Eventing Radio Show. So Max, how are you getting on up there?
It's warm. It is definitely warm, but things are good. We're getting ready for the Poplar Place September horse trials. Been out doing some course decorating, got some dressage rings put up today. You know, your basic stuff. They do a good job. They do a really good job here. The new people that own the place.
I was going to say, there's a new owner there. What's going on?
Lana, she's lovely. And, you know, they're not trying to make anything very fancy. They just want to have a really good workman-like competition here. They've got, but it's just going to be a one day. They got about 110 horses coming for a one day. And, I reckon the AECs maybe hurt their entries a bit, but, it's just a nice place. They've got, an aerator and, they're just trying to make it a really good event, a really good experience for everybody that's here. And we've got everything from like amoeba, so what they would call intro, and then a starter level, and then beginner, novice, training, preliminary, intermediate.
Wow.
So, but the little jumps, I mean, they're quite perfect for a kid or a very timid adult amateur. And, the cross country, the jumps are still decorated and the rings are still fit, they make it so everybody has the same experience.
Did they do something to that ring there?
They've done some stuff to the ring, and they're hoping to do more. They've added some sand in there because of the waxy footing. They've scraped some of it off and added some sand, and they're going to look to redo the whole thing eventually.
Oh, wow.
But they're just trying to, they've rebuilt a lot of cross-country jumps. They've got an aerator now. They're trying to sort of upgrade slowly but surely, not all at once, because that just gets overwhelming and quite expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's a good spot here. It's, they're terribly nice.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. Very good. Well, yeah. We're down here in Ocala, and it is hot, Max. It is hot, but it's the slight change of the season where, we did have a hurricane come through not so long ago, and luckily, thank goodness, it turned right and went up the coast. And unfortunately, our thoughts go out to the people in the Bahamas, which is pretty much leveled. One of my horse owners has a house out there, and they flew out in the plane, and it's still standing, but they can't even get to it because they're not allowed to land, and they can't do anything. They're trying to take aid out there to their friends and stuff, and they can't even get there. It's just really, really tough. I said, "What are you taking?" And she said, "Well, they've seemed to have got medicine and some water and things, but now they need tarps and shovels and stuff like this." So yeah, I mean, it's pretty awful that going on. But I mean, from someone that's had a hurricane go straight over the top of them,
yes,
it was a bit of a relief for us to not be
not
without
have a tree in your
a tree in your house and not have the power gone for 9 days and things. And it's not until you think, the power going off, or you just get a generator out. Well, it's not. It's just a little bit more inconvenient than that, because you've got to go and queue for the fuel that you put in your generator, and then the fuel's bad and it ruins the carburetor, and then you've got to clean that out, and then you've got to carry water to your other farm or here and there. It's just, we don't have power. We don't have city water. Everybody in Ocala
everybody's on a well.
Has their own well, and that needs to be powered to produce water for horses and things. So the hurricane not coming over us was fabulous. But the weather has changed a little bit, and what's happening down here at the moment, Max, is people are cutting and baling hay flat out.
Right.
Making the really big round bales, and they're not fabulous for horses. They mostly go to
because it's that Bermuda and what is it, the orchard grass, which is
Argentinian Bahia.
Yeah. which looks nice, which is great for them to graze on, but not necessarily.
Yeah, it's just not. I mean, it's got a bit more guts to it than Coastal,
Right.
but there's not much in it.
That's what I'm thinking of, the Coastal. Yeah.
You're thinking of Coastal. That's the fine stuff that, like, you either, it's like Vegemite, you love it or hate it.
Right.
In your own mind, it gives them colic or it doesn't. You know? So,
right, exactly.
Because it's very, very fine and what, Max?
It's Vegemite is just terrible.
No, it's beautiful. It's mother's milk to me, Max.
Oh, I know. Some of the people that love it, it is, but that or just makes you gag.
Yeah, no, it's there's a love-hate in our house with it. Yeah.
And in mine too.
Yeah. So, but no, so people are bailing up and farms are starting to pretty up again. But so what happens is they bail up the farm, and I've got a guy coming in to do our farms here and take away the hay, and it gets sold off for cattle. Yeah. And because there's a surprisingly large amount of cattle down here in Florida,
a lot of cattle.
So so that's kind of what's happening, and we're getting ready for a fairly busy fall season. It's got quite a few more things coming along. We've got Stable View in a couple of weeks, and then another Ocala, and then we go to Fair Hill and Rocking Horse and things, and
Jockey
the mighty
Club.
Jockey Club.
Yes. Lots happening, lots on the docket. It is kind of a busy fall for everybody. I feel like even all the disciplines are sort of at it, and then suddenly November, middle of November happens, and it's like boof. This like calm comes over and the storm is over, right? And then as soon as the last competition's done, it's like, okay, what are we doing next year?
No, I know. Well, as soon as the last competition is done, it's time to wax the skis and the board and get up the mountain, as far as I'm concerned. So that's for my favorite time. The children are coming over this year, so hopefully we can take them skiing.
Nice.
So
that is awesome.
That
is good.
Yeah,
very good. Yeah, well, we've had Burghley, which was a biggie one. That was, I think anybody that could was sort of glued to the live feed, which was really great to have. It was actually quite a good live feed, and they showed a bit of everybody, which was nice. Yeah.
And what's good now is that we get to actually watch it.
You can go back and watch it. Yeah.
Well, you can go back and watch it, but that's all you used to be able to do in past years. Maybe not last year, but the year before, definitely. You had to sort of watch it after that posted it, and that was boring, and
you'd sort of
now we want to watch it in real time.
You'd refresh your scores to see how someone did, and then you'd have to wait till the end of the day to actually watch what happened.
Right, you have to just read Twitter all day, and that's just boring. I mean, we've all got far too spoilt now, and we want to be able to see it. So it was great, but it was tough, wasn't it, Max?
Yeah, it was tough. It was, but it's Burghley, right? Yeah.
Sort of about the men from the boys and girls, didn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and there were a few people that just plain old got unlucky, but that happens too, like poor Tim Price.
Yeah.
Bless him. Yeah. That was a bit rough, but
and and you wouldn't have called that. You would have thought, with 3 horses there, and one's won and one got in the prize at the 5-star not so long ago, you would have said, there'll be, probably be there or thereabouts for 3 in the top 10, but whereas things just didn't go his way, and ends up with 1 getting a prize. Look.
Finishing 1 total. Yeah. Of the 4, I mean, Team Price brought 4 horses and they finished 1. That happened when I worked for Karen and David one year at Kentucky, the year in 2002, and it rained at the middle of the day. It just started pouring, absolutely buckets. And the second half of the field just never even had a chance, really, the first half. It was a bit unfair that way, but it was what it was. It could have been other way around. But we had, between Karen and David, we had 7 horses and we finished 2.
Ouch.
Yeah. But it was, David pulled the first one up, went the wrong way on phase C on another one. And then the last horse, it was raining so hard, he said, not going to do it. Karen fell off her first, got the second 2 done, and then she was last to go and said, not going to do it. because it was, I mean, it was just treacherous. That going was just, you couldn't, there were just no such things as studs big enough. I mean, it was like standing in a shower, just poured on us. So there was that. Yeah. But, you know, everybody bounced back from it. It is what it is. Yeah.
It happens, Max, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. And that's when but then the Jersey, or it was Foxhall then, and Foxhall was the week before, so you couldn't, there was no real place to reroute. That was it. That was your choice. You got that done. And if you didn't go there, then maybe you got on a plane that went to Bramham a couple months later, or, you know, a month or so later, but that was it. That was your choice. You know, there was no rerouting to Jersey Fresh or to Bromont. It was that was it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it hard then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So Max, tell us about your AECs.
Wow, the AECs were wild. What an amazing week they had. It was 996 starters. And I was a groom at the novice level for Cindy DePorter. It was great. She had such a good time. She did such a great job. She finished second in her division of like 50, which was incredible. I mean, you can't, you know, that getting a prize in novice in training, you can't make a mistake. You have to finish on your dressage score, or and even then, you still may not get up the levels. But if you have one rail, it'll bump you right out of it. It is so competitive. It makes it really, really hard. But I'll tell you, everybody was so excited and had such a good time because everybody got to show jump in the main arena, and everybody got to walk down that ramp. And it was a big deal. It was really, really cool. And beginner, novice in training all jumped through the head of the lake, which was so cool for everybody. And the rest of the tracks were proper. They were real championship courses. The advanced was seriously hard. It was a lot of the actual Kentucky 3-day event jumps. And so they were all up to spec. I mean, it was just a brilliant weekend that way. And then the show jumping was cool because it was supposed to happen at night. They were going to start it at 7, and then a massive thunderstorm came through, and we still hadn't finished jumping the novice junior division. And so they had to come back and finish jumping under the lights. The top sort of 10 kids had to come back and jump under the lights, which was pretty wild. So it was about 8:30 by the time they actually went. And there they were under the lights in the main arena at Kentucky, which was pretty cool for them. And then the advance didn't really even start till 10 o'clock. So by then it was proper dark and the lights were on, and it was very, very cool. And everybody stayed, and it was fantastic. It was a really great finish. And, you know, the horses were great. It was really good. It was a good course, and it was just fun. It was a good way to finish it off. Yeah. It was cool.
That's great. Well, I'm pleased for the AECs that they're getting a lot of entries. It's always a bit of a double-edged sword, the AECs. I mean, you know, it takes away from some of the entries around local areas and things. Yes. But, you know, if it can be in a place where a lot of people can get to it, it can't be a bad thing either. So
no, I mean, and I mean, obviously people came from everywhere, so that was really pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Well, Max, we've got quite a lot to get through on our show.
Sure do.
We got some great interviews for you to listen to. So let's get on with our show. Joining us now is one of our friends from the UK, Jackie Green. Hi, Jackie. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm delighted to be invited onto this podcast. I'm very much looking forward to chatting with you and Max.
Well, you know us both pretty well. Jackie and I have had a very, very long friendship, haven't we, Jax?
Very, very long. I mean, God, it's over years and years. Back to Scotland Lodge Farm, actually.
Back to Scotland Lodge Farm, yeah.
So, yeah, a long time.
Jax and I used to break in horses on the side for a little bit of extra cash, and we especially loved it when they would arrive really, really fat. Didn't we, Jax? Yeah.
To be fair, Joe broke them in. I brokered the deals. Joe broke them in, but we were only allowed to use the offsite on the gallop, so we had to make electric fence paddocks. So if they were fat, it meant we made a lot more money.
That's right. Yeah. We love those fat pintos turning up. Yeah. Those were the days. Yeah. So, and also, Max, you've spent a bit of time with Jax over the years, haven't you?
Yeah, we sort of conquered Team Canada together.
We did.
We had a good time. It was fun. Well, and then, you know, various times here and there. Jags, help me. Jags, find this. Jags, help find that.
No. I couldn't have done WEG in Caen, which was actually her out of Max, because it was Clayton Fredericks was great, but I mean, Max and I kind of had to do the logistics and stuff. Although we did make Clayton drive a truck out there.
We did, and back.
But yeah, that's where Max and I really bonded, because that was just so tough. It wasn't true.
It was
so
a
much
lot.
time together.
Yeah, it was something.
That was the world championships of the elusive Portaloo, wasn't it?
Oh, the elusive Burghley, the elusive food, the elusive. I mean, we did not know what kind of meat we were eating in the mess hall. It was just, it was something.
It was quite something, wasn't it? Do you remember when we drove in and they said, "Okay, now you need to go across the hard stand and into that field"? And I said, "I'm in Rodney Powell's truck. I'm not going in that field." Because it was like underwater as we arrived.
It was so, it rained and rained and rained, and it was so wet. And we tried to go walk the course, and as we're walking the course, Jackson and I look at each other, "Oh my God, I am so tired. Why are we so tired?" Well, it's because the ground was so, like, just holding our feet enough that it was exhausting. It was
a swamp.
It was a swamp.
Yeah.
It was something. But that was, we'll chalk that up to to learning curve.
I was so hungry. Like, we were so hungry on the way.
Yeah, I know. It's a good thing you were smart enough to pack everything for, pastas and sandwich meat and stuff, so at least we could eat something.
Well, and we raided Rodney's sweetie pile as well.
Yes, we did. It was something.
Funny.
It was something.
Well, time rolls on, Jackson. You're doing a few different things now. And first of all, we're going to talk about your role in the New Zealand High Performance. You're the coordinator, I think is what I read on the bottom of the email. And tell us a little bit about that. What do you sort of have to do?
Look, I think the actual title is something like UK admin, but basically what I am is a gopher. And once you get your head around that is my job. It is to do whatever I'm sent to do. So I have spent hours sourcing in Aachen eggs, which is not too much of a problem, but Guinness for Tim Price, one of his horses, and finding Guinness in Aachen, which is very much executive beer kind of market thing, was pretty hard. And yeah, it's just like, run to the taxi, get that person here, do that. You need to pick up this. Can you change that entry? Can you get that an FEI number by like 12 hours time? Do you understand? Yeah, do you pick up with it? It's basically my role. Everyone thinks my life is really glamorous, but I spent 90% of the last week in Walmart. And I actually
yes.
I would walk in, and I have no issues with that. I thought Walmart was the greatest thing I've ever seen. I love the people in Tryon. I love the fact that we would walk down the aisles and they would stop us and say, "Thank you for coming to America." And I'd be like, "That's so nice of you." And they'd go, "And I love your Kiwi accent." I didn't have the heart to go. So I just kept saying things like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Yes.
My role is very varied. Warwick Allen is a superstar in New Zealand, and he handles all the FEI entries and this, that, and the other. And yeah, I just basically run around and do what people need, or this, that, and the other. I organise a lot of squad training. I send a lot of emails to people who never answer. And then I chase them up and they don't answer my WhatsApp. And then I call them and they're like, "Oh, yeah, sure. I can bring 6." And I'm like, "Eek, hang on."
Yeah.
But it's fun because no day is ever the same, and we have a great, if small, crew over here, and it's really good fun, and I love it. And we've got great trainers, and I get to. It's a job of a lifetime. I get to sit with Isabel Vessels, who's one of the great dressage trainers, and Lewis Albaris Sabira, who's one of the great show jump trainers, and you just pick up this information along the way. And it's pretty easy to be an expert on the sidelines, and I'm getting pretty expert now. But look, our guys are great. I work with an amazing bunch of people. And I'm also very fortunate in the fact that I work for a lot of them privately as well. So I'm all across the horses and the entries and everything else. So it actually makes the job much easier, because I know if something's off, not to go, "While you're bringing that one," or this, that, and the other. And it's really cool and it's really fun. And it's becoming, I think our program, which initially was started by Eric de Vander and has been massively tweaked by Graham Tom, It's a great program, and I think we're rightly proud of the fact that we do have a program and it works incredibly well. And it's just nice to be a part of that program because I've seen it progress, and I think it is really reaping benefits.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, it is. I mean, because we're starting to get a little bit more depth when you look at the amount of New Zealand riders that are there and a few of the new ones coming over and a few of the new horses coming along. It's looking a lot more promising than what it did sort of not so long ago, you know, when there was a very small niche of very top riders. And then with a few horses going lame here and there, suddenly it left you with not a huge amount. And so now that we're getting a few more riders coming through, I think it's great. But that all takes time and work, you know. They don't just appear on their own, you know. There's all sorts of things you got to do, I'm sure, Jax.
It is, and I think the most important thing for me is getting people over here as early as possible, because I think it's, much as I admire the scene in New Zealand, and obviously Jock and those guys are doing a great job, and, you know, kind of we've always tried to link the New Zealand side with the UK side. But, you know, it's very easy to be in New Zealand and kind of finish on 67 at Puanui and go, oh, like I got 80 FEI points for that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Got like 2 points for a completion. And, you know, it is a different world, but I think that we've worked very hard to encourage as many people over as possible. Tim and Janelle have a lot of students at their place, you know, just there for the summer. And Muzzy Pottinger came over and, you know, spent the summer here and this, that, and the other. And it gives kids a different perspective when they go home of exactly what it is like and how hard it is over here. And it is hard. I mean, Joe came over from New Zealand years ago with Dan and those guys, and it is bloody hard. And if you've only got one horse, it's even harder. But I do think we're building strength and depth with the programs that we've got now, and it's come in the nick of time, because with Mark Todd and Blythe Tate both finishing, you know, that's left a big gap. And when Joe was based over here, it was kind of in the era that we had when Joe first started off. I mean, every single team was Mark Todd, Andrew Nicholson, Vicky Latter, and then there was one other space which everyone vied for. Well, you know, that is
wow. And it was Vaughan Jeffress, and it was, you know, a few other people here and there that were all good enough in their own right, you know.
Absolutely. Okay. But, you know, it is a changing sport, and it's good that it's a changing sport. And the new guys that have come over this year, we've got younger guys stepping up that have transitioned through, and, you know, we've got Sam Lissington who's arrived, and Nick Brooks who's arrived, and so on. And it's great. It's really good. It's all very positive.
Awesome. Well, moving on, one of the reasons why we wanted to get you on our show is we wanted to have a quick talk about Burghley. It was a pretty awesome event, and it had it had a lot of ups and downs on the television screen. It looked to us like it was a fairly tough course, and certainly with the results, it rode like it was a tough course. But I mean, like, you were there, Jax. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, well, I'm very wary of commenting on a course that obviously I've never ridden at that level. I've just been on the sidelines for a number of years, so I take my hat off to anyone who set out on that course and rode it. But what I would say in defence of Mark Phillips was, yes, the scoreboard looked attritional, and yes, the TV looked attritional, but you and Max and I have been in the stables enough on a Saturday night to know what is a happy stables. And it actually was a very happy stables on Saturday night, because the going was unbelievable. The weather was unbelievable. Couldn't have been more perfect. And yeah, there were some horses that, you know, ran a few fluids and this, that, and the other, but it wasn't carnage in the stables. And I think us guys have the experience of knowing actually what it's like going back to the stables, and if the ground's really hard and this, that, and the other and stuff, you see a totally different picture.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Well, Max, you've seen that 100 times. I mean, I was at European Championships in Punchestown in 1991, where you literally walked around the stables that night and you were like, how can I do this job? Like, what are we doing to our horses? I mean, they were just broken, you know. And the stables at Burghley on Saturday night were essentially a happy place. And I take my hat off to Mark Phillips for still maintaining Burghley as being the biggest and best and toughest in the world. And I think, for me, I think people tend, because the sport is now so orientated towards qualifications, they go, I'm qualified for Burghley. Well, just because you're qualified for that you have a Burghley horse by any means. And I think Burghley horses are incredibly special horses. They're totally different to championship horses these days. And if you look at a horse like Banger of Tim Price's, for example, or even Wingwood Skyboy, he was very unlucky to trip up in the water late on. They don't win anything else. They don't win the one days. They don't win the OIs. They don't win an advanced. They just rock up at Badmintons and Burghleys year after year after year and nail it. And they're the special horses. And I think there's a lot of people that think because their horse is qualified for 5-star, they can go to Burghley, and they were proven wrong this year.
Yeah, I mean, we get a bit of that here, don't we, Max, when it comes to the Land Rover event? And it's because it's a slightly different scenario. I mean, people want to do 5-star, and so they get qualified, and there is only one 5-star to choose from here in North America, unlike in Europe where you've got 4. So you have one 5-star to choose from. You say, I'm qualified, so I'm going to go. Whereas it might have been a more prudent thing to go somewhere which is, I mean, and I'm not to say this in a bad way, but slightly a bit more softer and a little bit more of a horse's first 5-star would go, like to go to Le Moulin, for instance. You go there. And I without walking the Burghley course, and I'm not going to compare the two events, Land Rover and Burghley, but I mean, I know how tough Burghley is.
Yeah, and the
Land
terrain
Rover,
too is you got to have your horses just so fit.
Yeah, Max is right. It's not quite apart from Mark Phillips's bravery. It is the terrain at Burghley that makes it incredibly tough.
Yeah, just like the skipping up in the hills that sort of ramble, the little, not even the big hill, but the sort of the littler, the 4-foot hills that just sort of, you have to be on your game the entire time. And it takes a lot out of the horses, and they just have to be that fit.
Yeah, and they have to have that own natural balance where they're either little and skip over the top of the ground, or they're massively long striding.
Yeah,
where they can cover that distance, and it's like, it's pretty easy.
Yeah,
you get caught out by a little mound at the top, or this, that, and the other. I still think Burghley horses are special horses, and I think it's 100% right that Mark Phillips has kept it like that. That is the one place that you can take horses like Classic Moe and so on that are just amazing Burghley horses, and that event is designed for them, and that's where they shine, because it might not be your championship horses anymore, but your championship horses can maybe go win at Le Moulin and Pau.
Right.
And I don't think it's a bad split in the sport. I think it's a good split, because I think that these proper Burghley horses actually don't have a role anymore if it wasn't for Burghley. Yeah.
But also, and then people need to be aware of the difference between a Burghley horse and a championship horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the championship horses maybe go and do the 4 stars and not the 5 stars, and they tick over and they go to the nicer events and stuff. But doesn't mean that they're anything less. They're really good at what they do.
Well, it's funny. It's funny how you explain that, Max. You talk about a championship horse being slightly lesser than a Burghley horse, and so what we're going to try and explain to the listeners
and the difference is so minute.
What's happened to our championships in the last 15 years is that the championships have been dumbed down to let in countries that might not be able to compete at the sort of extreme levels of badminton and Burghley. Okay, so the Olympics has been a little bit shortened, made a little bit easy. It's going to run at 4-star. The World Championships a little bit the same, So they want to, the governing bodies want to get more countries in and more people, and those countries, they're not just up to that level. Okay, so we're talking about Burghley as being the ultimate test in eventing. It's an endurance test for good cross-country horses that gallop fast and can do things. So it's funny how we're even talking about this when we say championship horse. It's not it's not like it's the greatest horse. Does
Right.
anyone following me here?
Yeah, no, I totally know. It's the ones that are tough enough and gritty enough to get the job done in the end. It is like they're not going to have the 18s on the flat and jump 1.35 meters brilliantly and
Correct.
be able to do everything in between, but they are good enough they're good on the flat. They move well enough. They're trainable and they're brave. And that's what you need.
One thing I would like to add in here is that the truly greats of our sport, like Sam of Mickey Young's and so on, they can do everything.
They can, yes, and that is a freak.
In the world, they can win badminton, they can win Burghley. There still are those freak horses out there.
Yeah.
And Hale Bob is probably another one, that's won proper long distances. So that there is a crossover still, but those horses are possibly becoming more the exceptions these days.
Yeah. Well, so I was reading, I had a quick little look on social media, and I don't really do this a whole lot because I find it slightly boring, but there's been some comments that and it wasn't so much pointed at Mark Phillips, but a little bit, that the course designers are building the courses taller, wider, and to a more difficult standard because they have the use of MIM clips and frangible fences. So, I think that a lot of people are thinking that, Burghley turned out to be like it was this weekend because it was built so tough because they had diffrangible fences. Well, I'd just like to point out to people that before the MIM clip was invented and diffrangible fences, Burghley was still massive and big and tough. And the safety devices that they had were that the fences were tied together with rope so that if a horse did become stuck or something, that they could easily lower the fence just with a bit of a smack with a little axe or knife or something, so things have changed, but I don't necessarily believe that it was made harder. What I think possibly has happened is that we saw a large amount of amateur riders that were not quite up to the task. And I sat there with my wife, who is a bit of an expert in the sport as well, and we were, we love it, of course. We love the excitement, but there was a whole lot of, oh my goodness, this person needs to stop. What are they doing? What are they thinking? And I think it was just one of those years where we ended up with a few people that really possibly shouldn't have been there. I don't know what you think, Max.
I think that is a fair comment, and I think that always after you've had a European Championships, you get a slightly weaker Burghley where there are lots of openings for people that normally perhaps might be balloted out. There's a bit more of an opening there. So I think that's a fair comment. I think there has been a comment that course builders are designing courses that are, more in line with the fact there is a pin, so it'll be okay. But I tend to think it's more in line with the fact that riders who would have gone long before are now going, well, I'll give it a go because there's a pin. So if it goes terribly wrong, the pin is going to drop.
Yeah, the responsibility of the rider. Yeah.
And I think that's massive, because I think that in years past they'd have gone, I'll not jump in that corner on this, whereas now they're like, well, we'll give it a crack because I'm not going to kill it. I'm just going to...
Right.
There is an aspect of that. And I think the one thing that came across to us was the fact that it is still a rider's responsibility, pins or not, that if it's going horribly wrong, you need to pull up before you tip your horse up.
Yeah.
And there's just one or two that we were looking at the screen going, stop. Seriously.
Yeah. And then you see other people that know the difference, like with your horse out there, she's like, this isn't going so good, and I'm going to get up there and jump those massive effing oxers. And she's not jumping the best, so I'm just going to wait for another day.
Yeah, and we were very honest in the fact that I write a blog for Tim and Janelle's website, and we put up on the blog on Saturday night that Maggie May had, I mean, as we all know, we've all done horses a million years, she had somehow inexplicably pulled a muscle in her neck on Wednesday, and we were on the back foot since then, and we were very aware that she might not be able to use her neck 100% going into the water. And, Janelle said, well, I'm going to run down and see what happens. And if she's never walked home in her life, ever.
No.
Right.
No. And, we were like, okay, she had a pulled muscle in her neck. Janelle felt that she wasn't 100%. Walk home. Like,
Yeah,
accept
exactly.
it.
That's a good horseman.
It was an amazing move by Janelle. It was 100% the right thing to do by the horse. We had to give her a go. She started off great and looked great. We all know what it's like when you're carrying a little something. But, Janelle's adamant that we put on the blog as truthful as we could, because I'm so bored with this. Well, we picked up a minor little injury. Oh,
it's like the horse that breaks down in the field.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
that. I did a leg in the field. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
or it's got a virus.
Yeah, it's a virus.
A virus of the left front.
Yeah.
So we have tried to be as honest as possible. And we were carrying something, which was, it became apparent very quickly that, Janelle was always like, I'm going to give it a crack and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to work. So,
but you know what? I far prefer that in a blog to, it wasn't feeling right and I'm going to go home and take some blood and do this and that and all the rest of it. Like at the end of the day, you've just got to put your hand up and say, just didn't work out and I crashed, whatever. Horse is great. I'm great. Or as in like me 2 weekends ago, I'm not great. The horse is great. And it was just didn't go well,
People respect you for that, and I think then people read a blog and they actually go, oh, that's really honest, as opposed to like, oh, this is just like following. We try and keep it as honest as possible, and again, that's another thing that is a great thing, as Joe will know all too well about the whole Kiwi thing. It's just like, just say it how it is.
Yeah, like, you got to say it how it is. Yeah,
we all know horses. Like, we know that you're like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to the original point, I think there were people. I think Mark Phillips' score sheet was unfairly judged when there were people that should have pulled up before it possibly happened.
Yeah. And what a great finish, though, in the end. I mean, it was a very, very good show jumping. I mean, I don't think they probably will want to relive their show jumping rounds, but it was a very exciting finish.
I had to leave after Tim jumped to take our show jump trainer to the train station, and I messaged Pip going, just like, Pip, let me know how it goes, best of luck. And she sent me a message back going, I'm so glad you missed my show jumping. It just got highlighted my career. And Will had been jumping her husband had been jumping in Belgium at a show, and she'd rung him on Saturday night going, you've got to get home, you've got to come home, you've got to come and help me. And apparently Will was like mortified because he was like, oh my God, like, because I mean, but it's extraordinary when you look at someone like Pip with winning the Grand Slam and everything she's been through and everything else. And even she still feels that pressure. And you just don't know that pressure until you've been in that situation. And it's extraordinary. And no one could have been more delighted for Pip to go back and win that, because she's
so great.
There's not a pair of draw reins in Pip's yard. There is no shortcuts. There is nothing other than genuine training every single day, the whole deal, like the horse is a person. She's one of the most amazing people in our sport, and we were all delighted for her.
Yeah, it was. She was so emotional when she came out. It was really, really. It was just raw and pure. She was really just so excited.
Well,
I'll tell you what, how she wrangled that thing around.
Yeah.
For one rail, I will never know. I mean, talk about coping with the pressure. It was just an absolutely incredible effort. It really was, because the only jump that he jumped reasonably well was number one. And then after that, he was jumping, and it was like there was three horses cobbled together, and she just kept riding, and she milked the
one down.
Round out of him, one down. And the one down was a monumental one down, I have to say, but it might have just been the one he needed, to help him to leave the rest up. It was incredible. It was amazing how that she did incredibly well.
Yeah, and it couldn't have been a more popular win, because, I mean, Pip has been everybody's heroine for years. And even I had to look up and go, how many years is it since she won a 5-star Pip? And I was just so pleased for her, because a couple of years ago, we were at Houghton together, which is a horrible event in the spring. And she was so broken. You know, she had broken ribs and this, that, and the other, and she really lost her confidence, and there was a hold, and she was like, Jack, should I go or not go? And I'm like, man up and get on and get out there. And, you know, she's been through some really tough times as well as winning the Grand Slam, and she's pretty incredible, and it was a very well-deserved win, and I'm pleased for her.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. It was really good. And any of them could have won it. You know, that's the other thing about it. It's
they could have won, and all I could have won. It was very close.
It was, but you know, looking at the top 10, your two Americans, Lauren Kiefer, who obviously I know quite well because she's been to Maisie Manor, and Ariel Groud, who I don't know. I mean, they both stood out. I mean, they were class.
Yeah.
Andrea Baxter actually, because you know Andrea's always had a tough time on the flat, but you know they were good rounds. I mean, they were worthy of coming over to the UK and having a crack at Burghley.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Blenheim coming this weekend. What are we thinking about Blenheim?
Well, Blenheim is actually, you know, quite a destination event in the UK. I mean, it's always massively oversubscribed.
I love it there. It's like one of my favorite events. I love that event.
Yeah, it's a good event. It's not always the most user-friendly as a horse person, but we've now got Emily Littlejohn in place, and it's making it much more. And Josie Brettel does a phenomenal job. And yeah, it's good. I mean, there are odd niggles about Blenheim, where you have to stable a shorter format horse, even though it's not required by FEI and bits and pieces like that, which, you know, but they throw on a good show, and it is a bit of a destination event in particular. And yeah, it's always a very good precursor for what's coming up through for next year, because it is a bit of a destination 4-star long event, as well as a very prestigious 3-star short as well.
Now, Max, what were you telling me about the splitting it into 2 divisions? Is that correct?
Yeah. I was looking at the entries, and it looked like they'd split it into 2 divisions.
Well, we've got the 8-9-year-olds.
For the long format, there was but this was the long format. It was split into sort of Section A and Section B of 50 horses each.
Oh, but that's about Thursday dressage and Friday dressage.
Ah, okay, that's it. Okay, I was like, wait a minute. You used to always be 100 competitors, and that was it. Pick up your big pants and get on with it.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, Section A is basically 1 to 50, and then Section B is So I think it's a bit odd because they don't normally timetable till after the trot up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
They seem to have sort of sectioned and given numbers based on days, but that isn't going to really become apparent until everybody's trotted up. So
right. I just thought that was a bit odd. I was like, wait a minute, that's not right.
Yeah, well, Blenheim sort of do odd things. Like, I know a couple of years ago, Tina was going mad because she had 2 horses and they were both on a Thursday, and she was kind of like, "Are you for real?" Like,
yeah, seriously. Yeah,
they do. Blenheim do things slightly differently to everybody else, but it's a great event, and we always look forward to it. And right here and right now, you know, we've got perfect weather, perfect conditions. We've got a fabulous week of weather. Look for some rain in between. It should be a very good competition. You've got some Americans in the mix too. Buck Davidson's there, I see, with a couple of quite experienced horses.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that he's maybe going back to Poe with those and is using this as a warm-up, or I don't know.
I don't know when hopefully he's feeling okay. I haven't, because he had a pretty good tumble. Got his foot stuck on the stirrup there too for a bit.
That was scary.
That was scary.
I mean, I do have to say one of my highlights of Burghley was getting to hang out with Bruce Davidson a little bit, because his stories never cease to amaze me, and he's just a legend of the sport as well. And he was, adamant on day one that this was a return to the big time. This was proper Burghley.
Yeah.
He backed it 100%, but I can always hang out with Bruce Davidson, so he just makes
He is funny. Talk about someone that says it like it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Yeah, Burghley is always Blenheim is always a good precursor of what's up and coming, and this, that, and the other, and so on. And the 8-9-year-olds is a very sought after class and what have you. But it's a little bit unbalanced in terms of what we have in Europe, because they do allocate 50 places to the Brits, and we, as a nation, only get 3 per nation for the rest of it. So the 8-9-year-olds is a little bit biased towards the Brits, I have to say, because we always have a lot of people that want to go to the 8-9-year-olds, but we're limited to 3.
Yeah, I saw that there was quite a bit of a wait list.
Yeah, and that's why.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, we are a 3 per nation is kind of the only other place I think we get 3 per nation in Europe is the Lyon 6-year-olds. It is a very small allocation. So, look, it's British eventing's event. I don't blame them. They want to showcase the Brits. It's their chance to shine. I get that 100%. But yeah, sometimes it's a little bit biased, the result about what are the best 8-9-year-olds in Europe, because we are limited to so few spaces.
Well, I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the boring parts of my job, Joe, is that I'm all over entry allocation and who can go where, and I have to
I mean, I get that. It does swing in roundabouts, though. I mean, like, as far as New Zealand goes, we've probably got a lot more advantages through the rest of Europe compared to the English, anyway. You know.
Absolutely.
So I kind of get it, but yeah, it's like slightly frustrating when it's right there and you've got a nice 8 and 9-year-old you want to take. So
it is, but it's not a massively destination event for us, because I mean you can go and do the CIC 4-star in Mill Street or Blair or anything else as well. If you just need it as a qualification, just go there instead. You just need to be aware that if you want to go to Blenheim, you're going to have a stack of points on your card.
Right.
Which again is, I think, the New Zealand policy for the Lyon d'Angers and Blenheim is that it's just 100% based on British eventing points. And any combination that's come over from New Zealand, Warwick converts whatever FEI points they have into what would be BE points. And it's 100% square and fair on what points you've won.
Sure.
So it's a really open selection process for us. The selectors aren't involved. It's just on points. However many points you've amassed, that gets you your chance to go.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, and Jax, I'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks, I guess it is, or 2.5 weeks.
Dan's wedding.
Yes.
And there's a chance I might be over for Rolex next year, so I'm sorting that out now. So
excellent. Excellent.
Yeah,
we like that.
That'll be fun. All right. Well, thanks, Jax, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You can compare, you can contrast, but there's only one ultra premium horse feed, Pro Elite Horse Feed. Its nutrition lock formulas ensure quality. Its advanced amino acid profiles maximize performance. Its regulated starch and sugar levels mean confident calorie sourcing. And its superior digestibility leads to an overall healthier horse. When it comes to feeding your champion horse, there's no competition. There's Pro Elite Horse Feed. For more information, visit proelitehorsefeed.com. And with us now is one of the big brains behind the American Eventing Championships from the USEA, Kate Loki. Kate, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
So, I mean, you guys just had an incredible week. I mean, it was, I know there's a whole lot that leads up to it with the staff and the preparation and the sponsorship and how was the week?
Yeah, I mean, we just caught ourselves smiling the whole week. We had so much fun. I have to say it was one of probably the best AEC to be a part of this year. We had we had 1,067 entries this year, which stands as the largest eventing competition in North American history. We ran about 924 starters, I think was our total after the scratches and attrition rate. But I mean, it was so much fun. We had just such a good group with us. This year we contracted Equestrian Events Incorporated, EEI, as well as Mary Fike. And EEI runs the Land Rover Kentucky 3 days, so they are just top professionals. They know what they're doing. They were so fun to work with. And we just had an all-around great time. I mean, the biggest event in the North American history, and yet it was probably the most fun for us all to be a part of. I think it ran great, and the competitors had a lot of fun, is what we're hearing.
Oh my God, that's all I keep hearing is that everybody was, I jumped through the blah, 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 head of the lake. Oh my God, I got to jump in the stadium. I mean, even people that didn't necessarily have a very successful cross country, but they got to go into the stadium and they had 3 down or whatever, they were still elated to be able to have been in that arena and to show jump and to be part of something so big.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why this venue was such a gold mine for us. Just being able to allow every single competitor to jump, like you said, in the Rolex Stadium. And it was so fun. We had the beginner, novice in training jump through the head of the lake, or at least canter through it for beginner, novice. And we had the first, one of the first competitors that went through it at the training level. She jumped through and she let out this big scream and said, "I just jumped through the head of the lake." We were like, yes, girl, you did. That's amazing. It was really fun, really cool to watch everybody. Just all around great fun week. And I really hope everyone enjoyed it as much as we did.
Right. And so you guys, there was a whole lot of other things. They had the event college going on, and there was officials training, and it just ended up being a really useful weekend for all that kind of stuff too, didn't it?
Yeah, so we had our ICP instructors, a lot of them on site, and they led some course walks and did some educational stuff. We did run the event college. Again, we've gone virtual with that in the past, but this year we had LandSafe on site, and so they were our presenting sponsor of the event college, and so they ran at least 2 discussions a day, which were really great and insightful for people. We got pretty good turnout and made it interactive with Q&As, and had a lot going on. We also, a really exciting thing for us this year too is we did increase some of the prize money. So we had Adequan, who's always been our advanced title sponsor. They increased their support and made it the $60,000 Adequan USCA Advanced Final. So the winner walked away with a $30,000 check, which was really cool. So great job to Boyd Martin and his whole team for pulling that one off. And one of the things we pride ourselves into is being able to give really quite hefty prize bags through 6th place in every single division. So we had 23 divisions this year, the most divisions we've ever had. And whether through 6th place, they had great prize bags.
Serious prize bags.
Yeah, we had some really cool prizes. I think each division walked away with over $10,000 worth of prizes, and then of course prize money. So a lot of great fun. Thanks to all of our amazing sponsors. The AEC is the USCA American Eventing Championships are presented by Nutrina Feeds, so they're a big reason we're able to do all of that. So thanks to all.
And then you saw the big purple bags from Bates, and you guys were great too. You did press conferences for each and every level as well, and that was actually very cool. And everybody felt very special coming out. If you were in the top 3, even if it was junior, beginner, novice, under 14, you still were up there having an interview, and it was very important.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so proud of our media team this year. They did such a good job. They really pulled it out, and we had recap videos each day, which were so fun. And we do, like you said, we try and make it really feel special for all the juniors, the amateurs, the professionals. Everyone who's there gets to come up and say a few words in the press conference.
Yeah.
And it's
and
really
everybody's
cool
treated exactly the same.
Exactly. And it preps the kids for once they do go on to bigger and better things. And if they don't, and they're just, amateur riders, and that's fine and great, and they get to have that spotlight. It's a lot of fun. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I thought it was pretty cool. Saturday night, obviously the advanced division was meant to jump under the lights at about 7:00, and we had some wacky ass thunderstorms that came rolling on through, and suddenly it got delayed, and the beginner novice or the novice junior rider division was running late, and so then they had to jump under the lights, but it didn't seem to take away from anything. Everybody stayed to watch the advanced jump, and I thought those advanced horses jumped super, and I thought it was just a really cool for eventing to have that atmosphere and that kind of, just the atmosphere and everything there and all the pressure to be put on them.
Yeah, exactly. And oh my gosh, how cool for those novice kids that got to, it was the novice junior division, and they got to go jump under the lights with a big crowd. And you've had people in the party tent sitting there for probably an hour and a half or 2 hours drinking beers and sitting in there waiting. And finally the kids, bless them and their horses for waiting it out, and came back in and got just, the crowd was so behind them, and it was so fun and really cool to watch them go. And so we went late into the night with the advanced, but I think it was worth it for everyone who was there. It was a lot of fun, really cool to see.
It was very cool. Yeah, and I thought the cross-country courses, I mean, people said, oh, it's really big, it's really hard, but it's a championship, so it should be at that level, shouldn't it? And I thought the advanced track was right up to snuff and proper, and Yeah,
and I mean, Derek DeGrazia being the course designer for every single level this year, I don't think you can beat that. We just trust him so much. He knows, what's safe and appropriate for the levels and the riders and the horses. And, we put it all in his hands, and I think he really knocked it out of the park.
And obviously he knows that piece of land pretty well after, designing so much there. So it was pretty great. So next year definitely going to be at the same place. Is that right?
Yes. So we historically have signed 3-year contracts with a different venue to have the AEC rotate around. We did sign this contract with EEI and Mary Fike. We signed it for a definite 2 years with an option of a 3rd year. So next year it will for sure return to the Kentucky Horse Park. It will be August 25th through the 30th. That's not Labor Day. Labor Day is actually a week later next year, which is September 7th. So it's essentially the same.
Oh, because the Monday falls on a funny day.
Yeah, so it's essentially the same week as it was this year. It just isn't on the holiday weekend.
Right.
But then, so the following year, we do have the option for a 3rd year at Kentucky. The board is currently investigating a location for, in the western area of the United States, so that we're helping our membership out there too. But we had such a great experience in Kentucky, and we're hearing from competitors they loved it and they want it there. On a personal level, we loved working with the EEI folks and Mary Fike. So we'd love to see if there's a possibility for a longer term partnership there, or to keep it there, another year. But we'll see how it all plays out as the board investigates all of this. So it'll be exciting.
Cool. Yeah, it is really exciting. I just think that so many people had such a good time, and it was just fun. I mean, it was packed. And it's amazing that Horse Park does so much. I mean, that weekend, there was an Arabian show happening and a dog show happening.
Yeah.
And they run things so well there that you never would have known unless you saw the signs for it. Well, and then there was the occasional Arabian that you're like, what level is he in?
Yeah, the park is so spread out. That's another really cool thing about the Kentucky Horse Park, is that it really can accommodate so much. Like, we had over 1,000 stalls being used by the time you added up tax stalls and everything, and we were packed. We had temporary stabling there. Everything felt really full, but at the same time, we didn't crowd the horse park. There was still so much room for so many other things to go on. So I really think it's a pretty winning piece of land, pretty great venue for us to be at. Yeah. So we're thrilled to be there.
Pretty hot, and it still didn't see. I mean, I feel like everybody coped really well. It was pretty warm, but all the horses managed really well, and they had, what were those big misting fans? Those were fantastic.
Yep. Event Cooling.
I don't know if that was a sponsor.
Yeah, they had some great fans out there for us.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it was hot, but the first couple of days it actually wasn't super hot, and people weren't really using those, but we left them there anyways. I think as we went into the later afternoon heat, people started to use them, but we had pretty nice cool mornings. And I think really great weather, other than that unexpected Saturday night thunderstorm that blew in.
And you guys were great too about being smart and being horsemen and having the advance do their cross country first thing in the morning when the possibility of it getting very hot there. And so you guys were very good about planning that out accordingly.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, too, we had Derek DeGrazia. I'm not sure if many people realize, but the times got shifted a little bit later on a couple of the upper-level cross-country days, because he was really worried about the early morning lighting hitting some of the jumps and the horses not being able to read it well. So we we shifted the times for that, which I thought was a brilliant move, and I'm happy he did that. I know it threw the schedule for a little bit of a hectic time, and some people got a little confused, but I think in the end it was a really smart move and the right thing to do for the horses.
Yeah, and like you said, it was. I mean, it just was such a good course. It was, and they, yeah. I mean, it was, and it's funny because we forget that Lexington is very far on the west side of the state. We're almost on the time change line, and so the sun does come up a bit later there.
Exactly. Yep. But overall, I thought the courses were great. And, I didn't hear many complaints about the courses other than, like you said, a little bit big and tough, but that's to be expected at a championship. So we're excited for what he'll bring to us next year.
Yeah. So what else do we need to know that's happening at the USCA? What do we got? We've got the convention coming up, which is going to be pretty great.
It will be great. The convention, so it's our 60th anniversary. So we're going to be a big party in Boston this year. That's where it moves to in December. So we're really looking forward to that. We've got some more exciting details.
Best city.
Best city. Yeah. It'll be great. And the other things, so we're actually still in championship season, even though the AEC is over. We still have 3 different future event horse championships, and we also have 2 young event horse championships.
Oh, great.
Our first one is actually next week, the FEH West Coast Championships at Twin Rivers. Then we've got a Central Championship now, as well as an East Coast. So those are all coming up quickly. So we're still in preparation championship mode over here. So it's all exciting.
Still all kicking along. Yeah, excellent. Well, Kate, we're going to let you go, but thank you so much for chatting with us. Congratulations on everything, to the staff and the crew and everybody there, because it really was it was a great week.
Yeah, thank you so much. We had a blast. Thanks for having me.
The Eventing Riders Association of North America is the collective voice of riders, equine professionals, and owners in pursuit of enhancing the growing sport of eventing in North America. In cooperation with our members, governing bodies, related committees, and organizers, ERA of NA works to improve the overall welfare, safety, visibility, and growth of the sport. ERA of NA, your voice matters for the sport of eventing. Jump in and engage by becoming a member today. Find them online at www.eraofna.com.
Back on the show, joining us now is our good West Coast friend, Andrea Baxter. Andrea, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So, obviously, first of all, we want to congratulate you on another awesome Burghley.
Yep, it was pretty epic.
Yeah,
definitely the toughest one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so just talk our listeners a little bit through your process of you flew over there, and where'd you go and what'd you do and all that kind of stuff.
Well, this was like a pretty express trip for me this time. Luckily, it was my third trip over there, so I kind of knew the program. But well, me being me, I didn't, of course, enter until like 2 weeks ago. So, but that's normal. That's the only way we can get her to a show is to blindside her a bit, send her off on a little trip that she doesn't know is coming.
Yeah.
So she lives her life fit and does her weaving on the daily. So she does gallop sets when I'm not actually doing gallop sets. So conditioning is not necessary.
Yeah. Just so our listeners know, she is an off the track thoroughbred. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, and the minute she catches wind of anything serious coming, she starts doing extra gallop sets in her pen.
Oh, God.
So anyways, I entered pretty late and couldn't get a flight any sooner than what was my flight? On the 29th, Thursday the 29th. And then, then we fly into Amsterdam and truck up to England. And so I arrived to the actual horse show at dark on Saturday. And then hacked her on Sunday and Monday, and bada boom, Tuesday things started up. So it was a pretty quick trip. And then we had to leave at 11 o'clock at night on Sunday to drive back down to Amsterdam, spend the night, get our papers signed, and she is waiting for me in LA right now.
Whoa!
In quarantine.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, a quick trip.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is your third time at Burghley. And so you were anticipating big old track. What was it like this year? How was it that much different this year?
It was funny, like in a weird way, because it was my third time, I was almost a little bit more comfortable with the size of the fences. And so I was, in two minds of, am I getting used to seeing these, or is this way bigger than it was last year?
Right.
There was a part of me that wanted to believe, I really think this is a lot bigger than last year, but there was another part of me that was like, nah, they're Burghley jumps. They are what they are. And it was the same track as last year. The year before, it was a totally different track. So this year, the track was exactly the same, but the intensity factor was way bigger. And I didn't realize how much bigger it was until after not only A, riding it, but B, watching everyone else attempt it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really was much bigger than it was last year. And I can't even believe I'm saying that because, Burghley is already huge, and I wouldn't have thought it could be bigger, but it just, the let up, there was no let up ever. And I got held early on at number 6, right before number 6. And I was sitting out there thinking, well, what do I do now? Like, do I take the option at the next fence? Because I was like, I wasn't going to take the option at that, but I'm sitting here at a walk trying to point at the biggest chevron over a ditch you've ever seen in your life. And there's an option and people have already taken it. And I wasn't really going to do that.
Oh, is that you got held before that toothbrush jump over the ditch? Some people actually had some stops there. Oh, great.
Yeah. I'm like, so do I just pick up and jump that thing or? Okay. But then I started thinking about it and I'm like, well, where else are you going to hold me? Like there was nowhere on the course that would have been a good spot to be held.
Yeah.
So, and you know what, it wasn't just me that got held. There was a lot of people that got held because I think there was I don't remember the exact statistics, but there was 16
a lot of
pins that got broken.
At least. Yeah. There was quite a few. Yeah. Yeah.
At least 16 pins because you can't even count the ones that are on the scoreboard because most of the people that broke a pin then further down the line didn't actually finish the course. So it doesn't even show up on the results. But there were a lot of broken pins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we predicted. I mean, when walking the course, it was pretty evident that, well, that pin's going to go all day long. And yep, they did.
Yeah. But it was kind of cool. So you got to be there. Was a huge American crew there this year.
Yeah, it was the most I think it's been in, I don't want to say ever, but definitely in recent history, the most American contingent we've had. So.
And was that fun? Did you enjoy guys being able to have somebody that could actually speak your language?
Yeah, it was really, a pretty good dynamic, a good group of people. Everybody got along really well. And, last year I was stable next to Michael Young and Tim.
No way. Oh, that's kind of cool.
So it was just kind of cool last year just being next to all these, it felt like I was rubbing elbows. I was in, Andrew Nicholson, I gave him the hug afterwards. I'm like, you were my hero, but he was in our barn and we were, hanging out with him all week. And Caroline Powell came in last year and gave me a pep talk before I went. It was just sort of like, I don't know. It was just it felt a bit more famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this year it was like hanging out with our, normal Americans that we hang out with all the time.
Right. No, I totally get it. So, yeah.
Well, you were stabled. Hang on a minute. You were stabled across from me at Kentucky this year.
I know.
That counts as as a bit of international flavor.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We shared the wall, and let me tell you,
I used your pitchfork. Yeah. And your broom.
And you know what? When you guys left on Sunday night, the weaving that went down after you guys left, because apparently the 500 was best friends with Johnny.
Johnny.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. I got phone calls all throughout the night from people. Your horse is weaving really badly. Should you do something about it? I'm like, That's just her gallop set for the next horse show. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Nice. She's got over. Looks like she's got over Saturday pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's sort of tireless. She looked fantastic
I took
on
a
Sunday.
Snapchat of her this time on Sunday after everything was over, and she's in there weaving at 100 miles an hour after the victory gallop. And I took a Snapchat and entitled it with, "Should we just stay for Blenheim and Buffalo?"
Exactly.
Yeah, because she's a bit
she's the
bionic.
iron horse.
You've done Kentucky and then Rebecca Farm and then to Burghley, which is not normal for an average horse, but she's not the average horse, is she?
She is definitely far from average.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't have to do, it's easy. The 10-minute gallop for her is not hard on her. And the fitness is what breaks down most of the horses getting to an event like that. It's not the actual event. It's the build up to them. And I don't want to say I don't do anything with her, but she does not require, not even 50% of what other horses require to get ready for one of these things.
Yeah.
So she kind of just lives her life ready to go. And,
might as well take
and then every time I go and,
yeah,
basically my gallop at, basically Rebecca, before long at Rebecca that was my gallop set for here. And then I took her, went up the hill a couple times after that, and she was ready to go. Yeah. If I had gone up the hill one more time, she probably would have been too fit and tried to kill herself getting there,
Right. And that's sometimes the
so,
hardest thing for her, isn't it? Is the travel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wish I had, been a little faster out there, but it is what it is. And I ultimately was faster than most people, but I was still when I finished, I was kicking myself for not having been faster. But after seeing how everyone else went, I was like, all right, well, I guess I was actually pretty decent compared to.
Exactly.
But she had so much gas in the tank at the end. I made up 20 seconds from the last water till the finish. So,
wow.
Once all the combinations were out of the way and I could just hit the gas pedal all the way to the finish, and she was right there with me, no problem to the end. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And you've got,
but it is and you've got time there.
It is. Yeah. But it's never, you can say that all you want, but it's still a lot of other people was there multiple times there and they didn't get it done. So, but that's pretty awesome. And you've got a foal by her, don't you? You've got one of her kids competing.
Yep. He's not as young as I'd like to say anymore. He's 9. He had an injury 2 years ago, some random, who knows how, but he broke his hock. So anyways, he's just did his first FEI event from that at Rebecca Farm, and he did the long 2, and he's pretty cool. He's got a lot of brothers that are out there going advanced, and he, as long as that injury doesn't ail him, he has the writing on the wall to keep on stepping up. But he's huge, so I don't love riding him. So Beck's riding him right now, and Tammy rode him a little bit when he was a young jerk.
Yeah, there you go. Play with this. Yeah. So you've just come home from Burghley, and just so our listeners know, Andrea and her family run Twin River. So you have got an event next week. So it's just like you're hitting the ground running.
Yeah, luckily this is my third go at it, and so I've been kind of over the last couple of years been siphoning off some of my jobs.
Oh, that's good.
By this year, everybody was like, yeah, Andrea's not going to be around. We got it.
Yeah, that's good.
So, because a couple of years ago, I took my computer with me and was processing entries on the road and answering emails and stuff. But by this year, I've got everybody pretty trained that, I'm out of the office. I'm not.
No.
No, I'm still, I still have a lot on my plate to get ready for that show. And we just hired a new course designer, Hugh Lahore. So he's here right now. I had dinner with him last night.
Excellent.
So that's different. So, just trying to manage the new working parts of making sure he knows what the plan is and all that. So, but we're excited to have him and see what changes he makes.
Cool. Excellent. So what's next for the 500?
Oh, we don't want to tell her anything that has to do with anything planning wise. But I mean, I've always wanted to go to badminton, but
I was going to say that isn't that
a,
the most that's your next logical step, isn't it?
I mean, it would be. I've been wanting to go to the badminton the last couple of years, but she just is such a pain in the springtime with trying to kill herself.
Yeah.
I've been able to sort of rock up to Kentucky, not as prepared as I would like, due to self-inflicted drama. But I think if we can keep it quiet and not tell her we're doing anything fancy, and just sort of try to just sweep it under the rug a bit, show up without her knowing, maybe we can get it done. She just, I don't know what it is. It's not hormonal, but there's just something about the springtime that the last 3 years in a row for Kentucky, we have had absolute major disaster within the last month before the show. And I've arrived at Kentucky with her very underprepared, and somehow managed to pull a rabbit out of the hat and make it happen. But, that's just flying 3 hours to Kentucky, not flying and driving, 48 hours of travel to get to England. So, but I do have the travel pretty well sorted out now, a lot better than I used to. So, she seems to be doing better that way. So hopefully we can keep our sights on that quietly.
That's awesome.
So
why not?
She came out of this looking pretty darn good. So knock on wood, that would be the next progression.
Yeah, because the ground looked really good, and all the horses, I think, Chris Talley was the only one that withdrew his horse overnight because it banged its stifle, but it seemed as though most of the horses came through the competition really quite well.
But they all looked, they all came out looking much better Sunday morning than they did Saturday afternoon.
Right.
The size of the fences was just so much bigger than I think we're used to doing, and repetitively big, and there was no real way to get around it. You just had to do it.
Yeah.
So anyways, but everybody show jumped really well Sunday, but they did, I would say, the distances in all the lines for the show jumping were very standard.
They were very kind in the show jumping, weren't they? I mean, it was a nice track, but it was a fairly straightforward, which was nice.
Yeah, I think they knew they better keep it a little soft because of how grueling it was the day before. The jumps were big, obviously, for the show jumping, but the track itself was straightforward, and the distances were set normal, unless you're Addie Andrea. I don't want to mention who that might be.
Add them up. Yeah.
My heart went out. My heart went out to you on that line. I was like,
Addie Andrea, I deserved it. I'm so pissed off, but I so deserved it. So you know what? I was
like,
God,
I could have done that just as well as her. Yeah.
One of these days,
If I'd started hooking as soon as I'd landed. Yeah. Oh dear.
I had such a beautiful warm up, but the warm up there is really tiny, and it was so busy and crowded, and she was jumping fabulous in the warm up, and but I was keeping her. I have kind of a new plan because she likes to get a little aggressive in the show jumping, and I can have she jumps either clean or I have two down pretty regularly. And that when I have two down, it's because the old steeplechaser came out of her.
Oh yeah.
But she jumps a clean round just as often as she jumps a two fault round. So the fact that I had one down is sort of like, well, I was trying really hard not to let the old running at them happen, but then the old Addie Andrea came out, and I picked down to one of them, buried her, and deserved it.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? Maybe I'll get it right next time.
It happens. It happens,
Yeah.
So,
when
it does, you just got to put your hand up and own it. What else can you do? It's just unfortunate.
Oh
just
yeah,
happens,
she wanted to jump a clean round. I just got in there and just was like, I had ridden such a collected warm up, and then I got in there and the ring was just a bit bigger than I kind of gave it credit for, and I just never really got her in front of my leg. Well, I did halfway around after I finally had the rail and decided that I needed to do something different. But yeah, you live and learn, get it right one of these days. So, but I mean, to me, I was just tickled. I mean, I was in the award ceremony at Burghley. Are you kidding me? I mean, before I left, I was joking. I was reading the prize list, and I was like, "Oh man, they only give ribbons to 12th." I was like, I better up my game. And then Beck and I laugh. We're like, "Yeah, you're not getting a ribbon, buddy. Get over yourself." And so the fact that I was got a ribbon and got to go in there with the greats and 2 other Americans. I mean, that's
awesome.
Pretty darn cool.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
great. But you get those cool mini plaques too for completion there. All right.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. My ribbon from last year is exactly the same as this year, except for this year it says 12. It's the same color, same length, same. I mean, by length, it's like barely 6 inches long.
Yeah.
It's a little different from Kentucky. They don't. It's not over the top like.
No,
it's top 12 only, and it's a 6-inch ribbon and a pat on the back, and have a nice flight home.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe a bit of champagne, and that's about it.
Thanks for coming.
Right.
Thanks for coming.
At least
hits your butt.
At least it's I got 4,500 pounds, so at least
did
you
you
look
really?
Forward to yeah, I can look forward to the conversion rate on that.
Nice.
So,
that's pretty good.
And they give you a little fistful of cash. Give you a little fistful of cash for coming, don't they? If you're a foreigner.
Oh, yeah, the grooms usually get 100 pounds. At least when I've been there, I've got 100 pounds.
Yeah, I think it was 50 pounds. They gave them £50 cash bill.
Yeah.
They gave them.
If you start cross country.
And then I do get a stipend for doing cross country. I don't remember what it was. It might have been 500, 800, 1,000, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But last year they just transfer it straight to your account.
Nice.
Anyways,
stuff.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. Pretty good trip. And everybody, the dynamic of everybody was really fun and supportive, and it was a good group of people this year.
That's awesome. Good stuff.
And everybody did well. I mean, it really was just a good group. Everybody did well. Horses were good. I mean, even the ones that had a fall. I mean, Buck's horse went really quite amazing before that.
I thought it was going super till then. Yeah.
And Woods looked amazing until hers.
Yes.
And Hannah Sue, I think, was getting a bit run off with, but I mean, she had the best ride through the water that I saw all day. So
yeah.
Maybe a bit strong on her arms, but he sure looked good through the water.
A little water skiing.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's not a very tall person,
so
it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then Lauren got held. She got held for Woods' fall. She got held, though, right after those white gates, before that big hill up the hill, up the big Winner's Alley. And I think that was a bit hard on her, just because I think further into the course.
To get held that, because, at 8 minutes, the horse is probably like, okay, well, I'm done now. When they're at 3 minutes, they're probably like, okay, well, we're not quite done. Yeah. Yeah.
In a way, it was a great spot to get held, because it was before the hill. They could catch their breath, and then it was just that, just the gallop fence up the hill before the next part of the course. So in one way, it was kind of a great spot, but on another way, you're 8 minutes in, and the horses are like, "Are we done?"
Yeah, because that's
I think that's a bit hard for
longer than they normally go anyway. Yeah, that's hard to gear back up. Yeah.
But anyways, everybody else did great, and I'd say for the most part, we didn't embarrass ourselves at all. The old American flags. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Always a good day.
It's always a good day. It's always a good day. It's getting bigger and better every day.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Andrea, we're gonna let you go get over your jet lag and get ready to go pick up the 500 in the morning and get your event going next week and. But thank you so much for coming on the show with us, and we will catch up with you sometime soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Max.
Okay, bye for now.
Okay, all right, bye.
Just so happy for Andrea that she had such an awesome trip. Yeah. It's been like, it's
hard
just,
worker. She's the best.
I know. And when she says it's like the horse tries to destroy itself all the time. It does. You know,
It's a
it's
terrible
not.
shipper.
She's just not a good shipper, and it's just
Yeah.
like bad luck all the time. Do you remember they're like, was it last year or the year before when she's
2
standing
years ago.
there? And,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just beaten up and hardly any
Well,
sort
she
of.
got stuck under a partition, and then she had to get some cowboy trailer. It's like a stock trailer to pick her up. So there was no partition for her to lie down under. And oh my God, it was a mess. But she and that horse are so awesome together. And it really is. It's just a beast of a horse. And she just keeps going and going. And she, you know, Andrew's like, I'm never going to be that good on the flat, but I'll have okay tests. And she just sort of enjoys this whole ride with her horse. It's so cool. Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool. And it's the big achievement, Burghley. So that's really cool.
And like, you know, getting the prize giving too, like she said. I mean, that she's like, oh my God, I'm in the prize giving. It's like, yeah, pretty cool. It's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Max. Well, it's been quite a long show. I think it's about time you started these in bits.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks so much for listening to the Eventing Riders Association of North America podcast. You can learn more about Eventing Riders Association of North America at eraofna.com. Find the links to today's guests and topics at eventingradio.com. Follow Eventing Radio on Facebook. Just search the Eventing Radio Show, and on Twitter at Eventing Radio. Listen to the Eventing Radio anytime, anywhere with the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone and Android. Go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. You can also subscribe via iTunes. Thanks again to Pro Elite Feeds for supporting the show. This is Max, and you can find me on the cross-country course, some pine straw and some plastic flowers. You can find me on Facebook, Max Corcoran Horse Care. You can find me on Instagram at MMC338, and you can find me, or you can't find me. You can find my blog that I haven't written in a long time at Max Corcoran WordPress.
And this is Joe, and you can find me at joemeyereventing.com on Facebook, Joe Meyer on Twitter, Joe Meyer EVNTR, and on Instagram, Joe Meyer Eventing. And I think I'm going to go and take a photo of something interesting and put it on Instagram because I'm really not very good at Max. Yeah, I can sort of sometimes do it a little bit, but
yeah.
But so anyway, listeners, thank you so much, and we will talk to you again in 4 weeks' time.
Bye for now.